microphone and see what happens. Hello! Hello! We are the Fighting Instruments of Karma, Marching Chamber Band / Orchestra! That was the new Chumleyland March by Thaddeus Spey, who, when he wrote it, was still named Carl Spade. Many, many years ago, this space was known by the fair as the Circus, and by us as Chumleyland. Yay! And Chumley didn't come back the next year, and we called it Chumleyland anyway, and he asked us not to, so we called it not Chumleyland, and that went on for a long time. We moved over to stage left when they decided to open up the new loop as baits to try to lure people over there. In the meantime, they tripled the size of our stage. This is very nice. So we're back, and we're not leaving. Yes, we will, but first, we're going to play half an hour of music. This is our entire repertoire that we're currently playing. We'd like to continue with a tune by the Oscar-winning composer Michael Dana, as arranged by my co-director, Gabriel Datar. It's a wedding march from the film Monsoon Wedding, known as Barat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Kasbar is trying to balance traditional Western marches like Sousa marches and so forth with originals from other cultures and other places and other planets. Some of them are things that we ourselves arranged or wrote. Members of the band used to show up. There's a German soprano saxophone player named Klaus who would come up and say, "Oh, we've got an arrangement," and then we'd play it, and then he'd disappear for a year, and then he'd show up with another one. And so one of the things, when we first started playing here, it was the idea of hippies playing marching band music was very strange and ironic. But it's been going on so long that we just kind of, well, sure, hippies, marching bands, why not? And yet, it still seems sort of odd to me. Now he'd like to play John Philip Sousa's Liberty Bell. Oh, which you may recognize as the theme from Monty Python's Flying Circus. members of the band will come up with arrangements or original compositions for us to play. The next one was written by the young man who replaced me temporarily in the Flying Karamazov Brothers until he wised up. Stephen Bent, who is now studying to become a choral director at the University of Washington. This next piece is a funk tune of his composition known as Get Bent. One, two, three, four. So now, we would like to play, going back to the more Western marches, a march from the 19th century that became one of the most popular circus marches in history. It's known as Bombasto by, what's his name? Bombasto. our many remarkable originals was written a few years ago by our lead trumpet player, Dave Bender, who has written a great many other things that people have heard here at the fair. So, 30 odd years ago, very odd years ago, I was actually the band leader and trying to be in the Karamazov part of the show at the same time. And I would try to give cues and still be on stage, and it was just too complicated. And I handed my first clarinetist, Evan Sprinsock, the baton, and 30 years later, he handed it back. And now, when he retired as band leader, in his honor, Dave wrote the next tune, known as March to the Kasbar. I'm going to take off this. You don't laugh. 1, 2, 3, 4. musicians I've ever known, Douglas Weaselman.
Whoa!
At his very first fair, which kind of turned him around playing with the fighting instruments, he had always been very much into actually playing the right notes all the time for the right reasons. And then playing with us, he realized, no, the notes don't have to be right, just the reasons. And we had, both in our childhood, listening to Captain Kangaroo as youngsters, been delighted by the song The Teddy Bear's Picnic. And so he dashed off a quick arrangement thereof, and we're still playing it. Or something very much like what he dashed off. By Jimmy Kennedy, arranged by Douglas Weaselman, The Teddy Bear's Picnic. Please sing along.
Yes.
Sensation Jonathan Colson pledged to create a thing a week for a year and put out 52 new pieces of art of various kinds, one of which was a peculiar mashup of When I'm 64 by the Beatles and 25 or 6 to 4 by Chicago. It's an amazing piece, and loving it very much, I asked my co-director and son, Gabi Datar, to do an arrangement thereof, and he